a question which is kind of indirectly related to what you were saying. Like, I have found sometimes in me too that the very skill that you actually exercise and develop in an art form sometimes inflates one's ego and it retards their progress in that very art form. How do you avoid that? What's your view on that? I've been a victim of that too, sometimes.
No, that is a very big danger. And you'll see in the yoga world today that many of the yoga people have fallen into that. Even many of the gurus, many of the famous gurus have fallen into that. We'll call it a hole. That they get this power from their yoga, because you do get power. You get power and energy from these practices. And even the arts, when you become good in the arts, and people start to respect you, and they start to say, oh, you're a dancer, and you're so good in that, that type of thing does inflate the ego, and the ego becomes like a glass ceiling. They talk about the glass ceiling, and you come up to a certain height, and you can't go through that. And the people are not able to break through that ego. And so they stop there. And I've seen that because I've seen people move through the lifetime from the age of 5 or 6 up to, some of my students now are 50 or 60. And I've seen them stay. They get to that point and they can't go any farther. So the very thing they need to do to grow spiritually, they cannot do because the ego is there. That's a very high level of teaching. We don't do that at Yogacharini. People can't tolerate it. We wouldn't have any students there. Once in a great while, there may be a chance.
Now a question in a different direction. Having headed Yogacharini and ICVR for decades now, what difference do you perceive between the students who came then and who come now in their receptivity, their nature, openness?
Well, when we first started, of course, we had fewer numbers. So I was interacting with the kids a lot more and more active. And I found that because we were dealing mainly at Yogacharini with younger people, their parents were very much behind them. And the parents were really part of our institute in a very strong way. And there were smaller numbers, so the families were closer. And there was not so much school pressure. See, this time we're talking about 25 years ago. Like even when you were growing up in school, you still have pressure, but not what the kids have now. The kids now have that terrible pressure that's just unbelievable. I don't know how they're not all getting mental breakdowns to study, and the whole emphasis is on marks, and 1 mark and 2 marks and 3 marks, and and so they don't have the time or the energy to give to the yoga. They don't have the time or energy to give to the institute. They don't have the time or the energy to give to the art. And there's a lot less, I would say there's less commitment. At the same time, there are few that manage to make it through all that. Now the numbers are larger, and I don't have so much to do with it. And now Anand he sort of went away for a while. Now he's getting some more of an energy to go back to it now, which I'm happy to see. And
have you achieved the vision that you set out for these 2 institutes? The vision that you conceive for both these institutes, have you achieved that?
I don't think like that, actually. Just my idea was to help people become better people. Use it, and I wanted to spread the arts, the yoga. I didn't really have a vision. I had no idea to start an institution. That's not part of my mindset, to go out and create a big institution. Where? Of Yogacharini? That's Ananda's idea now. That's his job, not mine. His job is now, how is he going to take it forward? And what is he going to do? One thing I think he sees that we have to do more teaching like he's doing now, going out on these seminars and traveling in the world and things like that. I would like to see this Gurukula continue, but I don't know if it's viable, because a Gurukula means a small number of people. And when I go to Delhi for these committee meetings, on some of these boards, there'll be 10 of us sitting there, and the minister and everybody, and they'll be talking about, the one will say, oh yes, we had 1,000 people in our course this year, and now we're building 10 new buildings, and we've got this and we've got that. And the next guy will say, oh, we had 10,000 people come to our rally, and then they come around to me and they'll say, well, we had 10 people in our 6-month course this year. And nobody pays any attention to us. Because now number is all. And you have to show big numbers, you have to show big buildings, you have to show big institutes. And I have totally no interest in that at all. Anand has a little more than I have, so maybe he will go more that direction, but I have no interest. Now I'm quite happy just to have people come here, and 6-month course I get the satsang, and they're like my family kids. They come up, they talk to me, they tell me their problems, and we do this and that. And I like to go to Yogacharini and interact with the kids sometimes. I like to go for the dance dramas. But as you say, I sort of come in at the end and just sort of, someplace and do this and that. But I don't want to go back and teach the nitty-gritty anymore. That's gone. I did enough. I do have a couple small visions. One, for the record, I would like to see an Ayush hospital come up at Swami Madam. Because I don't have the money or the drive to do it, but the government could do it. And they want to do it, and it's a perfect place. And I would like Swami Madam to remain like a small meditative Madam and not become one of these Tirupatis and all these big places. There are enough of those. Just a small place where people can go, be quiet, pick up the energies, go to the hospital, come and sit and meditate and pray in a nice prayerful. That I would like to see.
Amma, it's like, I felt like life was much easier before you got deeper into yoga, and because your moral sensitivities change, every decision has to be thought through. And so what has been the biggest moral dilemma for you?
Moral dilemma. To know when to talk and when not to talk, what to say, when to say, who to say it to, who not to say it, when to push, not to push. Trying to find that place, because I don't really think when to, I suppose when to restrain, yama, and when to practice, when to put forth, niyama. Because I don't go through like all the yamas, niyamas every day, but I have this concept of when to hold back and when to push, when to do, when not to do, to push, not to push, to criticize, not to criticize, to say, not to say. So that is sort of the moral dilemma I have. How much should I, if I see something wrong, should I say it, should I leave it? If I see something going against the yogic concepts, should I leave it, should it solve itself, should I try to do something? That is the dilemma. Other than that, I don't have. I don't regret anything. Because whatever I'm doing the best of what I can do, that's all.
Your life has been more eventful.
Has been?
Has been more eventful?
Eventful?
Yeah, than
yes.
Probably anybody's life I know of. It's quite a lot.
And you don't know. You only know about 1%
of
my life. Even if you read my Rishi and Rakshasa, I've only been able to put about 10%, not even 10%. I can't put the whole thing in there because people won't understand it.
So it's like over 5 decades now you've been into teaching yoga. And if you can meet the Meenakshi who is 50 years younger to you and tell her something that would help her, what would you say?
Do the same thing.
No change. Oh, okay.
Just do what you had to do. You did what you had to do. I never had to really make choices. I never really had to make choice.
Okay.
It was just, that's the way I was going, and I did it. I've jumped off buildings, and I've done so many things, and I had no choice. That was it. I would just say, do what you did. Couldn't have done anything else. And if good has come out of it, and I'm grateful to God, that's all. That's His business. If I've done anything harmful to anybody, that's His business, it's not mine.
Amongst many things, you've strongly identified with your roles as a mother and a grandmother. And, how do you think both these roles have been different? What has been more challenging or learning intensive? How is being a mother and grandmother?
I think being a grandmother has been more intensive for me, because with Anand, I really don't remember these things, but it may be the memory. You know, we have these adjustable memories that maybe I've adjusted, but I don't remember having any of these things with him that I'm having with the children and the grandchildren. Of course, most grandmothers won't be living the way we live. You know, we're living so close, and I've taken such a strong role in their upbringing. So that's why it's been more challenging. And also the grandchildren are now in the social structure, whereas we brought up Anand outside of the social structure because he didn't go to school till he was 11. So he was living in the ashram. We had a structure, but it was our own. And with the kids now, they have to fit into that school structure and the social structure. So for that's much more difficult. Yeah, I would say being a grandmother is more difficult for me. Maybe I'm older also.
Anything that you want to say? No. Okay.
I think I've said too much, and I hope that Krishna Beni will understand what to leave in and what to take out.